Hell is the biggest character assassination of the Father, and this might be the most important thing I've ever said about this topic. The traditional version of hell isn't just bad theology, it's the single biggest character assassination of the Father in the history of Christianity. And I want to show you why. Jesus said in John 14:9, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. He didn't say, if you've seen me, then that means you have a rough idea of what the Father's like. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Jesus is the exact representation of the Father's nature, the full and final revelation of who the Father actually is. So let's look at Jesus. Jesus healed everyone who came to him. He turned no one away. He ran toward the broken, the outcast, the sinful, the desperate. He ate with the people everyone else rejected. He touched the ones that nobody else would touch. He wept at the grave of his friend. He looked at the crowds and was moved with compassion. He forgave from the cross the very people who put him there. That is the Father. And then the traditional hell framework turns around and says that that same Father is going to turn around and allow the endless conscious torment of billions of human beings to no end, no possibility of restoration, just infinite agony stretching on forever and ever because time ran out. Those two pictures are not just different, they are completely irreconcilable. Because 1 John 4:8 doesn't say God is just loving. It says God is love. Love isn't something God does occasionally. It's what he is at the most fundamental level of his being. You can't hold God is love and God allows the torture of people endlessly without end in the same hand, without one of them giving way. Think about what the traditional hell framework is actually saying about the Father. It's saying that the Father created human beings knowing that the vast majority of them would end up in endless conscious torment. That he designed a system where billions of people that he calls beloved experience agony with no redemptive purpose forever and ever. That his response to the failure of his own creation is to preserve that failure in conscious suffering for eternity. That's not a picture of a good God. That's not even a picture of a God that most people would consider just by any normal human definition of that word. And Jesus himself said, if you who are evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good things to those who ask? In Matthew 7:11. He was saying the Father is more loving than the best human parent you can imagine, not less. And here's the thing about character assassination, because it doesn't have to be intentional to be devastating. Most of the people who taught this framework, they loved God genuinely and they wanted to be faithful to Scripture, but the picture that they inherited and that they passed on produced something that Scripture explicitly says the gospel should not produce, which is fear. 1 John 4:18 says, perfect love casts out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. And then it says the one who fears has not been perfected in love. Scripture is telling us that a theology which produces chronic fear of God in people is a theology that hasn't yet fully encountered what love actually is. Because the Father that Jesus came to reveal does not produce fear. He produces the kind of love that casts out fear. He's the Father who saw his Son while he was still a great way off, and he ran to him. He's the shepherd who leaves the 99 to find the one. He's the woman who searches the whole house for the lost coin and throws a party when she finds it. That's who he is. And any picture of God that contradicts that picture is it's not a more complete understanding of him. It's a distortion of him. It's taking the clearest revelation of who the Father is that has ever existed, the life and the person of Jesus Christ, and then placing next to it a framework that makes him look like the opposite of everything Jesus showed us. That's not theology. That's character assassination. And the Father deserves better than that. And so do the people who have been living in fear of him for their whole lives and in fear of their loved ones, or in fear for their loved ones because of it. I've got an entire 2-hour teaching on the topic of hell and what it is biblically on the HFD Ministries channel. You should check it out.